Hello everyone, I'm Caroline and today I've got some crafts that I think you're going to love. I've got this, I've got a scarecrow. What on earth am I going to do with it? Let's find out. Well, I forgot to turn the camera on. I know I'm useless. So I'll tell you what I did. I got my little scarecrow, pulled the stick from the bottom, cut a length of it about 4 inches long, made a hole in both ends of the pool noodle, which I've cut at an angle. Then stick the stick in with a little bit of hot glue into both sides, hold it together until it's cool, and then I reinforce it with some masking tape. There we go. That was it all. A potted history of how I got this far. And put this little doll away. And then you want to be winding this all the way around. And I'm going to do this without gluing. You can glue it if you think you need the extra support. One, I think it'll be fine. And two, I'd like to use this ribbon again because it's going to take an awful lot of ribbon. Now, even though I got this at a really silly price in a thrift store last year, I don't want to just waste it. So, I'm going to go around and then just glue the ends. I get the feeling I might not have enough to go all the way around. This is taking much more ribbon than I thought. Doesn't matter though, because if it doesn't fit all the way around, we'll come up with a solution. No idea what yet, but I'm sure we'll come up with one. I'll get back to you when I see if my 2 rolls of ribbon will go all the way around. Ta-da! I made it, and I've still got this much left, which is brilliant because we need this really for the bow. And I'm going to take my scarecrow and I'm going to sit her nonchalantly on the little wreath, or the big wreath. It's rather a large wreath actually. And I want her to look as if she's relaxed, face to the front. But you can adjust it. I could put her like that, but I don't think that looks very good. But just by putting her at an angle with, I don't know if you can see, this is very difficult to show, with her one foot up on her and the other foot dangling, like that, then I think she'll look better. So decide where I need to start applying some glue. I'm going to put her head in place first. So, a lovely lot of glue. The only thing is you will spoil the bits of ribbon that are under the glue bits. Remember, the more hot glue you put on, the longer you have to leave it to cool. Get her at the right angle. I'm going to glue her bottom into place. Oh, that's hot. Oh, stop fussing. And then this leg, like that. And now I'm going to decide on a position for her hands. And she can, put her this way. She can be looking all, oh, I know what I could do. I could have her holding a little bunch of flowers. Oh, I like that. Rather than flowers, I'm going to use this pick. I can hide the leg of the pick too, up behind, which means I haven't got to cut it. I like to keep things as whole as I can, so that they can be used over and over again over the years. Right, so we'll glue that into place. And put her hand over the top, like that. And then bring this hand around. There, I think. Yep, I like that. Like that. So she's cradling the flowers or the little display. Oh, yes, I'm so pleased to come up with that. Remember, don't stick to your original plan. If you come up with a better plan, go for it. I very rarely stick with my original plan. I'm terrible. Right, so now that's looking lovely already. And although her hair looks a bit tatty, I could neaten it up, but you lose the scarecrow effect then. So there she is, sitting nonchalantly on her wreath. Now I'm going to make a bow for the top. So now I've got 3 of this ribbon, 3 of this ribbon, 3 of this ribbon, and a pipe cleaner. Take one of your pieces of ribbon, fold it in half so you know where the centre is. Fold it in half again and pinch at the centre there. And then store it between your fingers. Then do the same with a different ribbon, whatever selection, or if you're doing the same ribbon, you can do it with that. And you may have a different way you like doing bows. You just do the bows the way you want to do them. So doing one of each. This ribbon isn't wired, but I think we'll get away with it because it's so pretty and it's going to look perfect. So we'll give it a special dispensation. And then same again with the next 3. And then the same again. So you've got a huge handful of ribbons. Tie it off with a pipe cleaner, making sure you pull it nice and tight. Always pull and twist. And now, one of my favourite parts, don't forget to fluff your bow. So take all the loops and fluff them around nicely. Now you don't have to hold it between your fingers. If you find that awkward, if you've got problems with your fingers or you just can't get the hang of it, then you can put a little peg or a little clip on each one. You can even tie each one individually, but I think it'll be very bulky then when you make it into a bow. Well, I think that's looking very pleasant. And now we've got all these tails, which I'm going to have to twist around and get them to face the way I want them to face. Playing with the bow is such fun. I mean, it makes such a difference. If you just stick your bow on without making the effort, then it looks okay, but you can really make it look special by putting a little bit more effort in. Now, you may decide that you want to dovetail the ends. I don't think I'm going to. Again, I want this to look a little bit rustic. I don't want it to look too pretty, too well thought out. Otherwise, it won't go with my scarecrow. Oh, look at that. I'm loving it already. Oh, yes. And now we need to attach it to the wreath. I've decided not to use a pipe cleaner because I want to make sure I've got plenty of length to go around comfortably. So I'm going to chop off some florist tape. I've chopped off loads. I don't think I need all this. Then tighten it at the back first. Don't just put it on or it'll flop. And we can't be doing with floppy bows. And don't worry if you squash your bow. You will squash it when you're doing this. And then you just refloof. So make sure you've got your loops at the top and your hangy bits at the bottom. Put the wire around and attach it in place. Now to take a huge wodge of twine. Put it around the top of your wreath and attach it. Push it in as close to the bow as you can, and then we tie a knot in the end. And now take some ribbon and we're going to just hide the bits that we've just attached. So by chopping it off roughly the circumference of your wreath, a little bit of glue under there, pop it on to hide everything. Watch you don't burn your fingers. Around to the back. Then I'm going to snip a little hole where the top of the wreath is. Poke through the hanger. It's nicely hidden. Cut it to the right length. A little bit more hot glue down there. To secure the hanger in place and secure the ribbon. Sorry if you can't see this very well. It's very awkward to use something this big to make a craft project with. I'm going to turn it over. And now I just need to refluff my bow, hang this up and see what it looks like. As simple as that. Craft, I got this picture frame and it's a rather faded picture inside. It's very cute, but I don't want it. I just want the frame. So let's turn it over, cut off the hanger, but we're going to leave the attachments in and use those to put our hanger on. And take off all the paper. Be careful if you've got these metal things. They are a nightmare. They'll chop you to bits. Use the pliers. Right, these were so difficult to get out. They've actually broken the frame before they will come out. They are really firmly fixed in. Never have I had such awkward ones to pull out. I think they must have welded these in place, then super glued them. And then they rusted as well, and that really added to the problems. So I'll get back to you when I finish this. Well, that was a nightmare. Never before I'd had so much trouble trying to take the middle out of a frame. Not a problem now, though it made it a bit easier not having the picture in place when I was trying to take the little holder things or grippy things out. And now just a bit of hot glue. If you want to be really professional about this, put on some wood glue as well. I'm going to give it a quick wipe over because it was rather grim. right out with I love using this, my metallic gilding polish. And I know they give you a lovely little sponge, but I like using my finger. And just to give it a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of oomph, I'm going to put some gold all the way around. You can completely cover it if you want to. I'm just giving it more gold than not, I think. I want it to still look a little bit sort of farmhousey, rustic. Oh, sorry about the clattering. I want it to look a little bit more farmhousey, rustic than being... I don't want it to look too, oh, I don't know, Louis XIV style. Maybe that is rather close to the Louis XIV style with all that gilding, but I just can't stop myself. When I start, I just cover it with more and more. I so enjoy the process. And then I end up covered myself too. Right, I did tie some twine to this on these hangers and all the clattering that you've had to put up with, and I'm taking them off because if I put those there, you'll be able to see the hanger through the wreath, and that's not part of the style and design I want, so that's coming off. And I'm going to attach it like that. So we've got that. It doesn't look very grand, does it? Right, okay then, Caroline, you must be going to do something with this because that doesn't look terribly exciting. Don't worry, there's more to come. I got this from a thrift store for £1 a roll, and look at how much is on it. But you can use some tulle lace, you can use some ribbon, you can use some fabric. If you can pick up a lace dress in a thrift store with holes in it, doesn't matter, because you're going to be chopping it up to use it as a ribbon. I've been fiddling around with this, but I'm actually going to do a 2-loop bow, which is make 2 loops, tie the loops in a knot, and then shorten them back, the loops to the size you want them, which can take a little bit of pulling and tightening and pulling and tightening. No, they're still not even, are they? It's very difficult to get these bows to be quite right because you get them perfect and then you pull and they're all wonky again. And then I'm going to glue this into place on the top corner. There's some glue, obviously. And that should drape down nicely there. And this, I'm going to have to, I didn't really want to do this, but I'm going to have to put a little bit of glue on to make sure it stays up because it won't look so good if it's flopping. You can't be doing with a floppy bow. So pull that little bit down so it's still got some life to it. It doesn't look like it's just completely stuck there, but it's going to stay where we want it to be. Right, now I'm going to do a smaller bow down the bottom. If you put it this way, you lead the eye in this way from this bow and then that way from that bow, which I think is quite nice because this way it's leading you out of the frame straight away, bunk, bunk, and your eye's gone. So I think that is going to add a little bit more interest and almost bring your eyes in a complete circle. They come down here and up there, so it just makes it a little bit more artistic. So a little bit of hot glue and on that goes there. Now it doesn't look very autumnal, it looks very posh but not very autumnal, so now we're going to break out some bits and pieces. Look at that. Now you can, if you want to, put something hanging here with a piece of wood saying fall, happy fall, or something like that. I like the classic look of this. It's very country style, but it's also got that little edge of being a little bit special, isn't it? Craft, I'm going to be using a placemat that I got from the thrift store. It's not in the best of condition, but it's fine for crafting with. I usually unravel it and use it as a braid to save me plaiting raffia. And I've also got this. I had a Moses basket from the charity shop that was in pretty poor condition. So I took it apart and decided I'd save some bits and pieces and see if I could use them. Now, if you haven't got this, which I would imagine most people haven't, then you can just plait yourself some raffia or some rope or some twine. You can just use thick rope. I'll use the cord of my iron here to show you. You can just decorate it with an edging of thick rope. You could put some ribbon, anything you fancy on. I'm going to use the widest bit of this. So get to the bit where the widest bit starts. I'm going to put on a finger protector now because I'm going to forget otherwise. Cut that and then decide which way up you're going to have this. You can either have it lengthways like that or long ways like that. Is that the way to say it? That's portrait, that's landscape. That's the best way to do it. So I think I'm going to do this portrait. So start at the bottom. It's always a good place to hide things, behind a bow or something. And then I'm going to hot glue this into place. And it's going to be quite a challenge because these ends are all trying to unravel as we speak. Now, the advantage with something that's braided is it does have a bit of bend in it. I'm going to need another finger protector though. And as you can see, that's bending nicely around. We'll need lots of hot glue to make it behave itself and stay in place. Don't try and do too much at a time of this because you do have to wait until the hot glue is cooled, otherwise it'll wander back to being straight. Let's move my iron out the way. We don't need that yet. Why am I going to use an iron? Something I've never tried before. I'm going to give it a go. I love picking up weird and wonderful things from the thrift store. When I picked up these placemats, I thought I'd have no idea what I'm going to do with them. And then discovered they are so good for taking apart and using as a braid. And I also, as you can see now, can use them for the backing for... It's not a wreath in the traditional term because I suppose a wreath implies a hole in the middle, I think. I could be wrong. What do you reckon? Do you think a wreath has to have a hole in the middle or not? I don't think so. But maybe I am stretching the language a little bit calling it a wreath. I'm really enjoying making fall decorations, but I can't wait to start Christmas again. Oh, that's my absolute favourite time to craft for. You can just make everything so pretty, and you can go for subtle Christmas, you can go for in-your-face Christmas, you can go for traditional Christmas. So there are so many different looks and different colours. When you're doing fall, there's a lot of, I love it, a lot of orange and greens and browns. So pretty. But then, when you get to Christmas, there's no restriction, is there? I don't think there's any colour I haven't seen on a Christmas tree or on a Christmas decoration, even black. There are some things that you can't get from a thrift store, really, like glues, paints, things like that. Well, maybe you get them, but you know what I mean. You can't buy much second hand when it comes to the actual nitty-gritty of crafting then, shall we call it. But other than that, you can recycle, reuse, upcycle so many things that you find in the thrift store. And it all goes towards saving the planet and being nice to the place where we live. It saves the landfills and also gives us a bargain. And, oh, I love a bargain. Remember, the more hot glue you use, the longer you have to wait for it to cool. Because it does take quite a while sometimes if you put too big a blob on. You could use this for a variety of different things. I'm definitely pleased I went with that. I think it looks quite effective and I just managed to make it. Now I'm going to put this to one side and I'm going to work on this, which is a serviette. Open it up. Got 4 separate pictures on, which is really economical. Serviettes used to be about £1 a pack. Now you're looking at $2.99 in most shops for a pack of serviettes. It works out very expensive if you just want 2 or 3 for crafting. I think somebody should start selling mixture packs. And that way then you can get 2 or 3 of each one. I found the best way to pull the backing off is to use a little bit of sellotape or masking tape. Stick it onto the back of the serviette because you've got to only use 1 layer. If you use 2 layers, you'll stick the back layer and the front layer won't be stuck. And separate it out carefully so you don't tear it. I've got a piece of cardboard and normally I would glue this onto the cardboard. I'm not going to. I'm going to try this saran wrap method or cling film. Saran wrap sounds so much more exciting than cling film, doesn't it? It's the same with our polyfiller, and in the US you call it spackle. Oh, I love the word spackle. I'm not very keen on the word polyfiller. Right, get that to roughly this right size, like that. Bring in my makeshift ironing board, pop on the cardboard, pop on the saran wrap, pop on serviette, pop on a piece of paper or a piece of fabric, and then you need to iron this into place. In the ideal world, the serviette hasn't moved and is in the right place. In the reality of my world, it's probably completely wonky and half off the actual piece of cardboard. But we live in hope. Stay positive. And the basic idea is you melt the saran wrap. It turns into like a glue. looking good, looking good. Right, if you do this with wood, it's much better. You can get those squares of wood. Because I've used cardboard, it's a little bit bendy, but that doesn't matter. So now I'm just going to trim the edges. Trim it up that way, give them a little trim. Then get your sandpaper and sand off the edge. Now I'm just going to ink around the edges. It makes it look more like something professional. If you just glued it on and leave the edges uninked, they won't look so good. You don't have to use ink if you haven't got some. You can just use a little bit of felt pen or marker pen very carefully. You can use a Stabilo all pencil. They are black, but I think you'll get away with it anyway. It'll just be darker. It just finishes off nicely. You can put little streaks of the brown on if you want to age it a bit more, but I don't want to make it too sort of old looking. I want it to look nice and bright. Now turn over your wreath. Cut yourself some string. You haven't got to use string. You can use anything you like, really, to hang this. You could ribbon, you could put some beads on it, string some beads up, and then use that. You can use wire. During the fall, I do prefer to use twine because I just think it looks more autumnal. Ta-da! It doesn't look much different to when we started, does it? It's just got a hanger now. I've got these tumbling blocks that are a bit messy. You may have seen them in my haul video. Got them for nothing, so I don't mind the fact they're messy. I'm going to glue one either side, like that, and one along the bottom, like that. Working really quickly, so make sure your hot glue gun is as hot as it can be. Give it a couple of seconds break before you do this, because you want to work fast. You've got to do all 3 blocks, and then pop this on the bottom 2/3 of my placemat. So now we're going to add a little bit of decoration into this, which I'm going to treat as a container, or a receptacle if you want a posh word. Finally, a little bow. You know me, any excuse for a bow. I'm not going to dovetail the ends, but I am going to cut them at an angle to give them a bit of interest. Glue it on the bottom to hide my very untidy bit there. So there we go, look at that, and all from thrift store finds. Most of my florals and autumn decorations are from the thrift store. I think virtually all, other than a few leaves. Oh, and my twine. But other than that, look at that. It's amazing what you can come up with when you're at your thrift store. Don't forget to check out all the options. You never know what you're going to find. Let's see what this looks like hanging on the wall. Well, I hope you enjoyed those 3 wreaths. I loved making them. I had such a good time, and I'm really pleased with the way they came out. Whenever you're doing something like this, don't be afraid to experiment. Try a bit of everything, change your mind, and you'll come up with something absolutely fabulous. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, happy crafting and have fun. Bye!